If you're in the marketing business, you're dwelling in a pandemic of dull. And AI is really just adding to that.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Jolly's TLDR. And today, Mark, I'm so grateful you're here. We have Mark Schaefer, who is a speaker, a consultant, an author, not a one-time author. You've written 12 books, and your latest is How AI Changes Your Customers. So that's what I'd love to dive into today.
Awesome. Glad to be here.
I'm glad you're here. I didn't mention you also teach at Rutgers and the University of Tennessee. Although we keep these pretty short, I really want them to be educational. Honestly, I learn a lot on each of these, and you teach in a lane that's right up our alley. You teach digital marketing and AI, and we're all about SEO and AI search. So I just want to make sure we're speaking the same language here to get started. How do you define, excuse me, the term AI slop?
That's a term that's really tossed around a lot. For me, it means lazy AI, right? So one of the things I talk about in Audacious, which is another book I wrote last year. Audacious, the subtitle is How Humans Win in an AI Marketing World. So I refer to this research, Greg, that shows that about two-thirds of all advertising and marketing campaigns out there are just are boring. They register no emotional reaction to customers. And the people that created this research were just utterly amazed at how bad most advertising and marketing is. Um, and they said if there was a CEO of the entire marketing industry, they'd be fired because the results are just so bad. So, really, if you're in the marketing business, you're dwelling in a pandemic of dull. And AI is really just adding to that because that's the AI slop part, right? It's where people are just taking the shortcut. They're not doing the work. There's no human in the loop. There's no human creativity. There's no context for the customer. I saw an example yesterday. It was one of the most egregious errors I've ever seen. They had to shut down every Starbucks in South Korea, more than 2,000 stores, because
Wow.
the marketing people in the company created a marketing campaign to celebrate Tank Day. Now, what's Tank Day? Tank Day was a holiday they made up with AI. They said, okay, what would be a good holiday, a new holiday we could create in South Korea? Well, what they didn't know, this was totally out of context. The Tank Day was a day many years ago when the government was trying to oppress the citizens and sent tanks into the streets. And they made an ad to celebrate Tank Day, of all things,
Oh my
because
God.
it was just AI slop, right? So this is lazy AI. It is adding to the noise. It is adding to the confusion. It is adding to the pandemic of dull.
Yeah, I'm recording from China, and I can just totally imagine how horrible that could go wrong here as well, right?
Yeah, right.
Right.
Same kind of thing.
Oh, geez. Okay, but at the same time, you put out a really great blog post. You asked Claude, and you had like the most elaborate prompt I've ever
Yeah.
seen, to be honest. I think most
Uh,
people need to up their prompt game, but I won't read the whole prompt, but there was a great quote. Claude gave you a response and said, authenticity is being industrialized.
yeah.
If we can't tell the difference, there is no difference. It was among other pushback that Claude gave you, but you said in your conclusion that we still need more companies to protect humans who are willing to put their name on what you called spiky content. I It's thought-provoking content. Obviously, there's there's a fine line. We don't want to go into tank day when it
Yeah.
has.
That's gonna be our new mantra. Don't be tank day.
Don't be, just don't be tank day. Do you have any suggestions for our in-house colleagues that want to wade through the bureaucracy to get approval to do something a little more out there, not that far out there?
Yeah, well, look, this is a really hard problem, and I've worked in corporate bureaucracies either inside or with them my entire career. So I know this is a hard problem. And I know cultural change is really, really difficult. And so, a couple observations. So, I mean, marketing has changed so much. The sort of content that's going to win in with AI search or SEO search these days. I mean, it's just got to be different than what we've done in the past. And one of the things I've taught in my classes is this idea called spiky content. Spiky content, it's based in facts, but it's an opinion that can be debated. It's defensible because you're adding your opinion to something. So let's say you see this blog post or you see some article or YouTube video about the 3 ways AI is changing search, and you say, well, wait a minute, I think there's a 4th way. So you create content around that. That is spiky content. It's based in facts. You're adding your own opinion. It's debatable, but it's defensible. All right. Now, and sort of to kind of build on where you're getting at there, it's not reckless, right? It's not offensive. You're not trying to hurt somebody. You're attacking problems. You're not attacking people. Um, and I think it really gets down to this. If you're working with leaders who really want to stay at the forefront of this, and that's their job, by the way, they need to push forward. They should be very open to these ideas. They should be challenging you for new ideas to help your content stand out, right? That's the right kind of culture. If you're living in a culture that doesn't really support that kind of innovation, you've really got 2 choices. Number one would be internal education. And I'm talking about the top leaders of your company. The only way the culture is going to change is through the leaders. There's no such thing as a grassroots cultural change. The people that control the budget and the strategy, they must support you. They must understand what's going on in the world. And so, I mean, one of the things I've done at big companies is I've suggested like a lunch and learn program where you bring the top executives together, maybe once a month, and you address just one of these topics about how the world is changing, so that they understand how they can support your organization. The second option, and I don't say this lightly, is quit, because I mean, if the culture just isn't ready to make these changes, and you know these changes are needed, you probably need to go find some place where you're going to be more successful and more productive and happier.
Yeah, fair enough. We're a small agency, but even we sometimes have rules that I think are not as supportive as they could be to the people working with us. And I always try to see their point of view, and at the same time, I always want to support them and say, like, if sometimes our company isn't what's right for your career, you also have to think about yourself here.
Yeah.
What's the right direction for you? Okay, so just speaking of our agency, another component of our audience are folks like us. They run service businesses. So maybe a lot of your students are in this, they hope to provide services as freelancers or future business owners. But we also are seeing a race to the bottom in our industries. I mean, when haven't we, right? But has accelerated this.
Yeah.
And I'm curious if you have any practical suggestions for us without delivering AI slop for ways that, whether it's in terms of market positioning or in service fulfillment, that
Yeah.
we can keep providing a premium service, but take advantage of the labor saving benefits of AI.
Sure,
Not do
sure.
lazy AI.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to come across as someone who's anti AI. I mean, I love AI. I mean, I use it every hour of the day. And I use it in many, many creative ways. You mentioned, sort of the creative way I used it in this blog post to challenge me about some of my own philosophies around marketing. And it really came up with some good ideas. So, when it comes to positioning and branding, I think there's only two things that we can own. There's only two things that our competitors can't keep copying. So, in the Audacious book that we mentioned, I did have a case study there on the fastest growing beverage brand in America. It's called Liquid Death. It's a crazy company that has attacked the water market through just really completely audacious and hilarious marketing. And the founder of that company was not obsessed with water. He saw an opportunity that water, like most industries, Greg, are in this pandemic of dull. They needed to shake it up. And so he created this just absolutely audacious brand. Now, there's a great quote in this book that I think is relevant to any business today. He said, look, there's absolutely nothing we could do with our product that Coca-Cola or Pepsi couldn't copy. If we want to make it, add muscles, they could do it. If we said it helps you sleep better, they could do it. If we added new flavors and vitamins, they could do it. There's absolutely nothing they can't copy except our brand. That's it. So, what is a brand? What is a brand? A brand is creating an emotional expectation between you and your customers. And in the long term, that separates you from your competitors because you're not a commodity anymore. You stand for something. You mean something. When I said the word liquid death, I automatically saw a little smile come across your face, right? Because
Instant recognition.
you recognize this as something that's playful. And I mean, the younger generation are just embracing this because they're just waiting for something new. Now, in the world of SEO, and in a lot of marketing today, it's performance oriented, and that is perfectly great. It's perfectly fine, right? There's a lot of pressure on getting the ROI for your marketing dollars, but what is sometimes overlooked by a lot of agencies is the importance of the brand. It's the only thing you own. It's the only thing your competitors can't copy, except number two. I mentioned there's two things, and that is how you treat your customers, right? How you build these relationships, how you build this trust, how you treat your customers. I have a saying in my business that we do the right thing even when it hurts. And that's painful sometimes, but I want that reputation that, when my customers have had, when something has gone wrong, something has gone downhill, something has happened that was unanticipated, I stand by them. I do the right thing. And I think, I have a reputation for integrity. I have a reputation for being forward thinking. I have a reputation for being trustworthy. And that is, that's not just what I stand for. That's how I treat my customers. And I think those are the two things we can own, Greg, to really decommoditize our businesses.
If an SEO, or now we call ourselves GEO, sometimes agency owners listening, I'd love to underscore that second point. There's of course been times where we haven't served our own clients in the way that we wanted to, but we always strive to find an amicable solution. And We had a situation earlier this year, for instance, where there was a miscommunication and a campaign ran for not 1 but 3 months longer than a client had intended.
Hmm.
We didn't feel we got a clear cancellation. They didn't feel they had a clear unpause message sent. And the only right thing to do in that case is find a way that they can walk away feeling that we were as generous as we could be with all the services delivered and refund that they requested. There's no other way to do it. I always tell people who are understandably skeptical of SEOs, we don't have the best rep sometimes.
Yeah.
I tell them we're not here for the quick sale. We've been in business 10 years and we want to be here another 10 at least. So
Yeah.
all we have is our name, right?
Right.
Exactly as you
Right.
said it.
Yeah, and I think that is an important opportunity in the SEO field. I mean, I've worked with a lot of questionable people,
Yes, I know. And
and,
it's
and
across all
left those
industries.
and left those people as well.
Exactly. That's how I describe it to my lovely wife. She's like, I think you're too nice. You get take advantage of. I'm like, someone double crosses me. I just don't know them anymore. It's okay.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. Yeah, you only have your name. You mentioned, I'm gonna lean into our little SEO industry here, Mark. You mentioned AI search. Curious of your take on the timeline. Everyone has their own view, but where are we in terms of slowly transitioning either away from or at least now having to incorporate AI search as a primary share of the market?
Yeah, well, I just saw a blog post come across my feed today, um, and it was sort of shocking because uh, the when I teach in my classes, sort of the latest number that I've shown is that about 60% of the search now is like no click kind of search, right?
Right?
And just on, I mean, we all know Rand Fishkin, and Rand had a new article today that said now it's it's less than it's even less than that. It's like maybe you something like we're down to like 30% or something like that. So and even Google is AI, right? And
It's AI mode.
yeah, AI. And so I want to introduce an idea here that I think would be very relevant and interesting for SEO and the people working on. What are you calling it? AEO or AGO or something, right? What do you
That's what you
call
want
it?
to call it,
Yeah,
the
what
day
do you
of the
want to
week.
call it? I don't know if it's official yet. But one of the things I wrote about in the How AI Changes Your Customers book is, look, I mean, people are relying on AI more and more for their search. I wrote in the book that we're all in the diaper business now. And what I mean by that is I have a new grandchild. He's now 1 year old. He's a very bright, wonderful child, and he is an expert pooper. He goes through a lot of diapers, and he is the customer for the diapers, but he's not the decision maker. So to sell diapers, you've got to appeal to his caretakers, to mom and dad. Now, they're the decision makers. What's going on with AI? Many people are abdicating their decision making process to AI. Your end customer is not the decision maker increasingly. And the trust in AI is going up, not just for small decisions, but big decisions. Like, what house do I buy? What city do I move to? What college do I go to? Right? Now, you're in the middle of the business. It's really hard and somewhat mysterious to get on top of these AI referrals. So I want to suggest an alternative view that I talk about in the book. And it's this idea of AI overrides. I think it could be part of your consultancy. So, look, I recently went to Paris. I took a trip to Paris. And like everybody these days, I go to AI, I say, plan my trip. It did a perfect job, right? And I followed the itinerary almost exactly, almost exactly as it said. It did a fantastic job. Except I said, I want to fly on Delta Airlines. And I want to stay in these certain hotels. Now, this gets back to the conversation we just had about branding. Branding is more important than ever. It is an override for AI. If you mean so much to your customers, they're going to say, look, give me an itinerary or give me a solution, but I want to use these people. Or I'm going to use this company, right? Or I want to buy these shoes because I've always bought these shoes because they mean something to me. So branding is more important than ever. It's an override to AI. Now, let's go back to my trip to Paris. A friend of mine says, hey, I understand you're going to Paris, and I know you have to eat gluten-free. Let me recommend a bakery in Paris that's gluten-free. So I not only went once, I went twice. When SEO recommends something or AI recommends something, I'll think about it. But when a human being recommends it, you do it, right? And there's a very famous statistic. It's 92%. This was a number that came up from Nielsen a couple years ago. 92% of American adults will believe a recommendation from a person, even if it's a stranger, over any advertising, over any marketing, over any search, over any AI, right? This is another override. Word of mouth marketing. And again, it means doing something for your customers. Just like you said. All right, you had this problem with your customer and you stood by them. They're going to recommend you to others. That's the best marketing you can ever have. Completely unadulterated by AI, completely untouched by AI. You don't need a content marketing plan for that. You just need to do the right thing. You need to create something so worthy, so interesting that your customers can't wait to talk about you, right? So that's another key idea in this very competitive world.
Yeah, and it works adversely too. As you can probably already tell, Mark, I don't shy away from trying to help people learn from my mistakes. We had a period 6 years ago where we were newer at this and we were growing too fast, and we just stumbled on client service. And wouldn't you know it, for a couple of years, referrals just trickled to almost nothing. And it's just the way it goes. It wasn't loud. It was just whispers or quiet conversations that we're confident were existing in the background to us, but for other people, those experiences were very real, and so we had to slowly rebuild from that learning lesson. So I totally agree. Um, I have really enjoyed talking about AI search and SEO, but I wanted to ask you. I watched your announcement of selling the marketing companion. You ran this podcast for over 13 years and had more than 3 million downloads. That that's something I could hope to come close to in another 10 years of doing this. I don't know. But you described one of the reasons I think all of us can resonate with in any project we've done a long time is you needed to reclaim some time. So you needed to release this project that you'd been
Yeah.
doing for so long. And I'm curious, for those of us, I think a lot of us are still struggling to make time to incorporate AI into our workflow
Yeah.
without just slipping into that easy AI slop, lazy AI.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm just really curious, like what you learned in the process of reclaiming your time,
Mhm.
and like how did you make full use of that new time that you did reclaim?
Uh, well, what an interesting point you make that it's hard to make time for AI. It's hard to make time to save time. Yeah, it's an interesting perspective. And look, that is important. you've got to roll up your sleeves and learn how to use this stuff and experiment with this stuff. But a big lesson for me is when I was in the corporate world, we used to have this manager in our business, and he would walk up and down the hall, and he would stick his head in people's offices, and he'd say, "What are your three things?" And what he meant by that is you need to really focus on the three critical things that drive your business. And you either need anything else that comes across your desk, you need to either delegate it or you need to say no. And boy, I mean, it is hard. It is hard to do that. But that is absolutely essential. And especially when we get into AI and marketing, there's so many things that we love to do. Maybe we love to tweak our website. Maybe we love to experiment with, AI music or AI video or something like that. It can be intoxicating. And if you're spending a lot of time on that stuff, even if you love it, maybe you need to question and say, is this driving my business? What are the three things driving my business? What are the three things I need to accomplish today? And until you accomplish those things, you don't do anything. And you've got to stay really, really focused. I mean, I get this question a lot because I do a lot. I'm a very productive person. I'm a very prolific person, but I couldn't do any of it if I just said yes to everything, right? You've got to focus on the three things that drive your business. And that has served me very well.
Yeah, I think that's great guardrails for AI. Like many of us, I have plenty of chat sessions with Claude. I have plenty of cool scheduled tasks that I've created, but I need to audit my use of time each time I get excited about spinning up a new scheduled
Yeah,
task
I
and
mean,
using it
even
all.
using AI can take a lot of time. And one of the mistakes I'm making is like, you go, I've been using Claude Cowork a lot, right? And so I'll do a prompt and I'll think, and sometimes I hit go too early. I did it again today, actually, or maybe you didn't get and then you can't stop it. And now you're waiting for it, or you got to exit the thing and you got to start over. So I mean, it can really be a big time suck to get it right, to get the AI right, to learn these new tools, and I think that takes discipline too.
Yeah, completely. Mark, I know you've interviewed people before, and so my favorite interview question is always at the end. I'd love to ask, is there anything I didn't ask that you wanted to share with our audience here? And would you please, as we wrap up?
Oh, well, I mean, the way I usually end a lot of my uh, discussions and speeches is I think it's my best selling book. It's called Marketing Rebellion, and the subtitle is The Most Human Company Wins. That's sort of become my mantra. And I think I've had to pause and revisit that in the age of AI. When AI can be so convincing. It can be so human and maybe even better than most of us in a lot of ways. And I think what I get down to is this. Number one, absolutely the most human company wins. That is what people are always going to crave. In the future, real humanity is going to be a luxury. Now, the most human company doesn't necessarily have to be the most human. It can be a combination. It's the right combination. And having that discernment about when do we keep humans in the loop? When is it mission critical to have a real, actual carbon based human in this discussion with our customers? We also have to be careful. We talked about your brand. What are you known for? If you're known for your personal touch, don't go too far in AI. It's going to screw up your brand. Even again, if this seems like, oh my gosh, we could save all this money, be careful about what it does to your brand. So I think overall, truly, the most human company wins, but the company that achieves that will be the right blend of real humans and AI.
Awesome. Mark, I learned so much. I hope people find your resources out there, of which, as we discussed, there are over 12 books now, so they should be able to find one. We connected on LinkedIn. Where else can people look you up?
Well, it's so easy to find me. You don't even have to remember my name. You just have to remember Businesses Grow. It, Businesses Grow, that's my website. You can find the books that we talked about today. You can find my blog. I give away all my best ideas. And you can find my social connections. I'd love to hear from you.
That's awesome. I hope they go to businessesgrow.com. Mark, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.